Hey there! Welcome everyone to another Lumio Live. Super excited. As you can see, I have some friends. We are going to be looking at a monster quiz today, and I have my fellow Lumio lover, Casey, with me as well.
Hello, everyone. So excited to be here today.
Awesome, me too. I can't wait to see what we have in store in regards to monster quiz.
Well, I have to say, Monster Quiz is a fan favorite for sure from Lumio. Definitely one of my favorites, but this is usually what the kids are always clamoring and begging their teachers for. So I'm excited to walk you through some different ideas of how you might use Monster Quiz in your classroom with students.
I love it, and it's super timely with Halloween just around the corner.
Oh, it is. Who doesn't want to have some fun monsters in the mix for Halloween? So there's lots of ways that you can use Monster Quiz. Monster Quiz is a quiz-based game. You can customize and write your own true and false and multiple choice questions. And there's lots, like I said, lots of different ways to use it. For me, one of my favorite ways to use it is as a pre-assessment or a pre-test. So a lot of times I like to give my students pre-tests or pre-assessments because it helped me drive instruction moving forward. I may teach the same content area year to year, but what my students are coming to me knowing can vary a little bit. And so I like to have a good understanding on where I wanted to spend or needed to spend more time and less time. But of course, if you tell your kids they have a quiz or an assessment, it always ramps up the anxiety, which I understand. But
Mhm.
Monster Quiz allows a risk-free way to get information on your class as a whole. And of course, students can get information about themselves by using it as a pre-assessment. So that's one of my favorite things to do is use it as a pre-assessment and then use that as a teacher, the data to drive instruction later. How about you, Asha?
You know what? I like the fact that you can do a check-in and get a pulse check on how the students are understanding the lesson content. And also, I also like that we can use it for social emotional learning as well. So, doing a pulse check and seeing how students are feeling in the classroom. So, it doesn't always have to be, your regular curriculum-based content, but getting to know those students and checking in with them.
I love that. And I actually saw some teachers that I used to follow that I loved where they would add in sort of unusual, funny type of questions. It could be a fact about them or a fact about something that happened in the classroom, or it could be something that's being talked about a lot out in the world. And I love that they would just break up their quiz with kind of something fun and lighthearted for
Mhm.
kids, and bringing that social emotional idea is a great mix. I also saw something interesting. I wish I could remember the teacher that I saw it from, but it was on TikTok, and I loved this idea. But essentially, what she does is before kids take a test, she gives them about 5 to 10 minutes to really look at that test, share, connect with other students, ask each other questions, compare notes, so that when students are going into the actual test, you've relieved some of the anxiety because they kind of know a little bit about what's going on. They had a moment to sort of process what things maybe they don't quite understand. So they have time to connect with the teacher or a fellow student to learn a little bit more. And I think Monster Quiz would be great for that. Students, when they do the Monster Quiz, so as something they could do before a post test, is they could do this for fun review. Then students each see how they did individually. So they could compare notes. They could see who got which questions right. They could help each other, look at each other's notes, and really just have a conversation about some of the questions that they encountered. And I think that would really relieve them and make them better willing to study for that test the next day.
And I like the fact that you talked about even just kind of the anxiety that is associated with, taking a test or a quiz and kind of mitigating that with things like pre-assessments and having a chance to review and collaborate with the students as well.
Exactly. So these are three great ways to start using Monster Quiz in your classroom. What's great about Monster Quiz is it's very quick and easy to build. So I'm actually going to show you what the inside of a Monster Quiz looks like, and we're going to add one additional question so you can see how easy it is. And then we'll take a second to play the quiz. So as a teacher in the top left corner, I can always, even in mid-lesson, I can click these three horizontal white lines and I can choose to edit my lesson. So if you catch that you missed something or need to correct something that you've done, what's great is I can choose to edit the lesson. My students are still waiting for me. So it'll now give my students a message saying, waiting for your teacher to start. And
Mhm.
I can now make that quick adjustment. So I'm going to edit this quiz really quickly. I'm going to add a fifth question. I'm going to keep it simple. We'll do a true and false. Let's see. Fall is also known as autumn. Of course, you can write all the different types of questions. You can think about how to level questions. So making sure that you are writing questions that hit different levels of blooms, things like that. You get to put the kind of the content that you want in here, and you can have a varied question sets between true, false, and multiple choice. In this case, the answer is true. So I'm going to leave that one marked already. If it was actually false, I would just click in this circle here. And then when I have all of my questions written, I'm going to hit next. The next thing I'm going to do is I can look on this right side and I can choose to randomize my question order or not. So randomize means that my students could be sitting side by side, but they'll get different questions at different times. If I want all students to get the same question at the same time, I can turn that off. I often turn this off if I'm working with younger students like first graders who maybe needs a little support with reading questions and answer choices. Then I can help because everyone's on the same question at the same time. In this case, I'm going to keep it randomized. You can also choose to have a time limit for your questions or turn it off, and you can adjust how much time a student gets per question. So in this case, maybe I want my students to only have 10 seconds per question, but I can really change that. So if I'm doing a math monster quiz, I might want to give my students time to actually do some solving in their notebook or something like that. So I might want to up the time or turn that time limit off per question. Once I have that set up, I hit next. And usually it defaults to our monster, our main monster theme. But I love that during the month of October, we have our monsters dressed up for Halloween. So this is the fun Halloween theme. And I know students love when we use this theme in the classroom. So just like that, I've added a fifth question. Now I'm going to hit finish editing. If you have joined my session, you will now be pulled right back into my class. If you want to join, you will see that you can go to hellosmart.com and enter the class ID 11311 at the bottom, scrolling. I can also always pop that information out to my students as well, or I can give them a link in their LMS or even have them scan a QR code to join. Now, something fun and unique about Monster Quiz is each student is answering questions individually, but they are also part of a group at the same time. So we're actually going to divide all of the students that are in our class right now into teams. So in the bottom right corner, you can see as a teacher, I can choose divide into teams, and I can choose how many teams. So I have 9 students. So in this case, I think I'm going to do 3 teams. It'll automatically throw all of my students into teams, but what's really powerful is that I, as a teacher, know my students best and have the power to adjust my teams as needed. So if I know Stephen and Chad aren't going to be really good teammates here, I can drag Stephen out of the group and put him in a new group, and then I could replace him with another student. So I can adjust these teams as needed based on what I know about my students, which is, I think, a key component. How about you, Asha?
No, I think this is great, and it helps teachers to really manage the classroom as well. So, love it.
Me too. So again, every student will be answering the questions independently, and they will have their own individual data to reflect on. So they'll see how they did on their question sets on their own device. But as a teacher, I'll also be able to see collectively how the team did. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Start Quiz. And as soon as it says go, you'll start to notice that questions are showing up on your screen along with answer choices. And you get to mark your answers. If students get it right, you can see Chad, good job, Anna. We'll see their names pop up in green. If they get something wrong, we'll see that that shakes a little bit. So we know, we don't know who got it right or wrong, but we know someone missed one. So it's nice that students can see their names popping up. But we also kind of know, oh no, there's a lot of shaking happening for the lava slingers, for example. And what's great too is that I can always choose the end quiz, even if we're not completely finished. So I don't know about other teachers out there, but one thing that I always felt like I was working against was the clock. So it was great to, if I was running out of time, to be able to end quiz, still go over results really quickly without impacting our ability to kind of assess and discuss what happened. So I'm going to go ahead and choose to end quiz, even though we're not quite finished. You can see we're almost breaking out. We see our freezer burners and our icebergers and our lava slingers are getting really close. And then I'm going to hit end quiz a little early. So we can see that the lava slingers is our winning team. You as students will see your individual data in just a minute. So I'm going to hit review. I can see again, the lava slingers got the questions right the first time, 60% of the time. Freezer burners, you guys were too, but just a little behind our lava slingers. So now we can look at the class review. So as students, I can see personally how I did on my assessment, but as a teacher, I can discuss whole class. So when I look at question one, I see that we have a lot of varied answers. So we can talk about why C is correct. Versus like number two, pretty much most of us got number two right. So I maybe don't have to spend as much time on that question. And then same with question five, right? I'm not going to spend much time reviewing that. I can spend some time on some of the others that students seem to be more confused about, specifically that question number one. And of course, I can have my students reflect personally on their answers and connect with other teammates, look at their notes, things like that, which I think is really powerful too. So Monster Quiz is one of my favorites. It's a great game. I don't know if anyone here has participated in this month's Lumio challenge, but every month we have a new bite-sized way to start using Lumio in your classroom. And this month, it's all around using a game with a graphic organizer. So this would be a great game to use. And then maybe having students use a graphic organizer to reflect on their strengths and their weaknesses, or maybe share what questions they still have, or thinking about what they did well, and so that you as a teacher can kind of check in and see what their thoughts are as they reflect on their experience.
Casey, I love this, and I love Monster Quiz. It's a great way to engage students. Awesome. Well, don't forget to join us every 2 weeks for another Lumio Live session. These are just quick tutorials to help you light up learning in your classroom. Thanks again for joining us.